Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Real Reds Talk, an authentic football fan channel dedicated to Manchester United. This is your breaking news show on a Sunday afternoon where we have a match day. We play West Ham, of course, later on, but we've got some topical bits that we want to discuss. And obviously, it's always me and Shreyas when it's Sunday. Anyway, so Shreyas, I'm not going to ask who you are. Quick question. I asked Sam this the other day. You're on a desert island. You've got one last match you can rewatch, one last goal you get to be at the stadium for. So you don't have to be United. You can pick any goal you want, and one player you get to re-sign at United.
Okay, so one player I get to re-sign at United and one match that I can see all over again.
Yeah. So Brian Casey get involved as well. He's in the chat saying afternoon, guys. Good afternoon to Brian. What a legend. Yeah. There's your options that you have.
That's a tough one. A player that I would want United to sign back again, if De Gea leaves this window, then De Gea.
Right, okay.
Yeah, but one sec.
Oh,
yeah,
he's got missing. There he is.
Yeah, just like De Gea. Okay, so to be honest, till the time that I have started seeing Manchester United again, there have been really less players that I would actually want to sign back, considering how we've...
Anyone. You can go back to the 90s. You can re-sign Cantona. You can re-sign Ruud van Nistelrooy. You can sign anyone you want from United's history.
Then I would actually go with Ruud van Nistelrooy.
Okay.
Right now. Perfect. Considering how we're playing right now, I would say Ruud van Nistelrooy, because right now we need that type of striker. Or if, not him, then Wayne Rooney. Sign back Wayne Rooney.
Wayne Rooney would be mine. Yeah. He'd be mine. Yeah, I've changed my mind. Wayne Rooney would be mine. We are dying for a Wayne Rooney in this team right now.
Yeah, and honestly, imagine, a 20-year-old Wayne Rooney in this team, with playing alongside Bruno Fernandes.
Give me a skinhead Rooney anytime. Is any match in particular that you've watched, Reyes, or anyone you wish you would have been there for, even if it was before you was born?
Us winning in the Champions League final. Against Chelsea.
Which one?
Against Chelsea.
Against Chelsea.
I don't like
Moscow.
Chelsea fans. I don't like Chelsea fans.
Yeah.
Like Liverpool and Chelsea fans, I hate them. So
just in the rain as well, winning on penalties. Just like,
yeah. And if one moment that I could be there, if I have to talk World Cups, I would want to watch Portugal versus Spain when Ronaldo scored that hat trick in the 2018 World Cup.
Yeah. Went God mode in that game, didn't he, to be fair, as he has done on so many occasions. But Henry Jones is saying Paul Scholes. Yeah, Paul Scholes, sensational. Paul Scholes, Casemiro and Bruno wouldn't be a bad midfield, would it, Shreyas?
Yeah. Oh, Paul Scholes, Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro.
Woo! Brian Casey saying match would be the United Spurs 5-3. Goal to see live in the stadium would be Solskjaer at the Nou Camp in 99. Player to sign would be King Eric. All fabulous choices there. Yeah. Rooney's debut against Fenerbahce. Yeah, when he came on, he's absolutely lit it up and scored a hat-trick, I think, didn't he? Yeah. So, some amazing shouts there. But we're not here today to speak about past, present memories, unfortunately. Well, not unfortunately. We've got bits to talk about in the modern era right now. Things that happen. So, in this show, a few things we've got. We've got the exit door. Apparently, it's open for Mason Greenwood because Juventus are interested in signing him, and apparently a few other Italian clubs. So Bits has been talking about a potential move to the Premier League and how he's adapting. Graham Souness has been talking shit about Bruno Fernandes on the and we've got updates on the ownership. As I was going to say on the ownership, then Graham Souness has not said anything about the ownership. He's been speaking about Bruno Fernandes, and we've got some updates on the ownership, which we'll touch on towards the end. But you know the script, guys. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel, smash a like on the video, and make sure you join the community if you're not already a part of it. If you want to join the ultimate footballing community and become a Real Red Ultra for exclusive content, a badge next to your name, and a chance to feature on the show and join some of these wonderful people in the chat, we've got 3 spots left in the starting 11. Just 3 spots. So if you want to become part of that and have a chance to feature on the show, exclusive content every single Monday, then you know what to do. Click that join button next to the notification bell. I will be live for the game later on. Just a very last thing before we get into the topics at 6 o'clock for team news. So if you want to come and join me, get in the chat for all your questions, all that kind of jazz, you're more than welcome to. Right, let's start with the Mason Greenwood story then, Shreyas. Apparently Juventus are ready to offer Mason Greenwood a fresh start in Italy. The Turin Giants have made it clear that they're very interested in giving the United striker a route back to top-level football. They want to sign him on a long-term loan deal this summer. 2 other Italian clubs, AC Milan and Jose Mourinho's Roma are also interested, apparently. So is just hearing that first and foremost, is that the best way to handle this situation?
I think, yeah. And probably if we can convert that loan deal into a permanent deal, I think it would be much better. Because I think we don't need that sort of drama at Manchester United in the first place. Secondly, I think on not just a footballing way, but on a humanitarian level, I really don't want to see him playing, again for us, or in general, because I think there are some things that just transcend football. You need to look at society, and once again, there are some things that you don't really need to debate that much about. And I think this is one of those cases. If he does end up leaving for Juventus, probably get Vlahovic in a swap deal. I wouldn't really mind. If he goes to Roma, get Tammy Abraham through a swap deal, but get someone in at least, and yeah, we are in need for a striker, and probably, if we can get in someone like a Vlahovic instead of him, I genuinely wouldn't mind that sort of a deal. But yes, I think this is the perfect way to deal with it. Like, probably send him out on loan, if he plays well, or even if he doesn't play well, I think this is a good way for him, to actually, kick him out of the club.
To be honest, a swap deal would be absolutely perfect and ideal, but I think we're going to have to convince other teams to take him off us, to be honest. I think that's the way it's going to go down. Do you think, on the flip side of the coin, do you think if he starts scoring a lot of goals, there'll be certain United fans really pressurising for it? Because we've seen it on Twitter, haven't we?
We're seeing it right now, yeah.
I mean, it's a guy on our Twitter, every time we put something up, he's just constantly going on about Mason Greenwood. And it's like, mate, we're past that now. We're trying to, the future of the club is what we're thinking about and going forward. I think if we were to bring him back in the set up in the fold, I think we go back. I really do. So do you think if he let's say we create a hypothetical situation, right? It goes to Italy, starts scoring loads of goals. Do you think there'll be United fans really pressurising, say, "Oh, bring him back. Absolutely. He's back playing football now."
Absolutely.
Bit of PR spin.
I think even before he's come in, even before there are official statements from the club, we see that a good chunk of the fan base wants to see Mason Greenwood back at United, and I think if he goes, whether he goes to Roma, whether he goes to Juventus or AC Milan or whichever club he just ends up going to, if he manages to score goals for them, it provides them with the leverage to actually come out and say that this guy is scoring goals for fun. We don't really have a striker. This guy wouldn't even cost us a penny. So why not give him a chance at the club? And I think it won't happen. I think with the kind of manager that we have at the moment, and with the new ownership coming in as well, they would actually not want to get involved in this type of drama. They want a fresh start, and usually when you see new ownerships come in, you don't want negativity to come with it. Like the first step, they don't want negativity to come with that. So I think probably he goes out, it ends up being a permanent deal. But I think the fan base just needs to I think they just need to understand that this is not coming from a footballing point of view. Like from a footballing point of view, we all know that how good for player he was for us. A lot of us actually wanted him. Martial and Martial and Rashford were the front three during that lockdown period we had, and a lot of the fans wanted him to stay in that front three. They wanted the team to be built around him. A major part of the fan base loved him. All of us loved him as well, that he was a young prodigy coming through the academy for us. But I think we just need to close the chapter on this, especially on Mason Greenwood, and I think for me, just get him out of the club, to be very honest with you.
Yeah, I would second that. Brian Casey saying, to be fair, I could never see a way that Mason could have played for United again. Sam saying, kick him out, don't want him wearing a United shirt ever again. It's inevitable that he moves on and plays well somewhere else. Fans will have the narrow-minded view of bringing him back. Sam saying, best not ruin AC Milan for me as well. And TS7, big up Tommy, saying Greenwood coming back into the fold is completely out of the question. It'd be a nightmare for everyone involved behind the scenes. How can you justify that to the women's team, for example? Yeah, I'd second that, to be honest. And also as well, what about the Juventus fans, for example? What about the female fans over there? What about it's going to cause a bit of a stir, isn't it? Because if you're a Juventus fan and you're like, oh, we're signing someone, oh great, who is it? And they're like, well, this is the thing. It's this guy's coming over from United. Certain things have happened. You're going to be like, well, that's not really. Do we want that negativity coming our way as well? So you got to think about it from
Juventus
other fans' perspective.
Problems as it is. Without taking this thing out, they've got enough problems to deal with at the moment. That club.
Yeah.
So they want Mason Greenwood. Well, you can readily take him off our hands. Genuinely can.
Yeah. I think the way Manchester United are looking at this, as they always do, is from a business side. And they're like, well, we don't want this to ruin the dressing room and PR, but also we don't want to lose money on him at the same time, because they're paying him, is it 70k a week, I think? So if they was to cut him off from his contract... Yeah, it's all right, go on. Yeah. Fine. So they're paying him, like, I think it's like 70k a week. It makes you think he just sat there and you're thinking... if they have to cut his contracts off, they're going to pay about £7 million to him to have to offload him, which is just worrying in itself. STP Mitchell says, if one person doesn't want Greenwood inside the club, then that's enough. We are taking steps in the right direction and don't want anything upsetting the apple cart. I absolutely agree with that, STP Mitchell, 100%. Them Italian clubs are shallow as you like. He'll be perfect over there. Yeah, there's a lot of chat. Look, I don't want to tell people how to think. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But if we look at this as a collective, we look at, obviously these aren't similar situations, but you look at what happened, the Ronaldo drama, the Pogba drama when he was here. Mason Greenwood's is a completely different drama, but it's just drama in general. You just don't want something that the media are going to focus on so much throughout the whole of the season. That's the last thing we need right now when we're trying to progress. So I think if you can loan him out to an Italian club, and you can get him off the wage bill, and eventually, if he does well in Italy, fine, sell him. Let him play over in Italy if they want to go there. But I don't want him anywhere near these players, because we've heard ourselves as well, United players concerns. We've heard reports that certain United players don't want him back in the dressing room. I remember when it first happened, you had Rashford tweeting stuff out about girlfriend, Tellers tweeting, loads of him coming out. So for a fact, I know if I was in that dressing room straight, I'd be like, no. Not a chance. Exactly. I don't want him anywhere near.
Seeing the reaction from the players, the people he was actually playing alongside with for over a year, I would say. If any of them actually came out and said that there is a different side to the story or something like that, then I would have gone and said that, maybe we are not getting a complete story. But all of the players have just come out and reacted in a way which I would say is not beneficial for Mason Greenwood. So it just means that what we've heard is right, and the players know what's happened as well. And I wouldn't want to disrupt the kind of unity and the team element that has been built into this squad by Erik ten Hag, and something like this would just destroy the locker room completely.
Yeah, 100%. Well, we've got 11 people in the chat, so let us know your thoughts on the Mason Greenwood situation. Would you be happy for him to go out on loan, eventually sell him and get him away from the club? And yeah, just your thoughts in general. Drop them in the comments and make sure you like the video if you haven't already, and subscribe to the channel if you are new to these parts. We're going to move on slightly from a past player, let's just say, to a present player. Marcel Sabitzer, I was going to say Chivy then. Sorry, Shreyas. Marcel Sabitzer, Shreyas. He's been speaking to MUTV, I believe, and he's been talking about the Premier League and his time here, etc. He's saying the Premier League is very intense with a lot of transitions. I can say it's a different way of playing football compared to Germany, but I think it suits me and I really like it. I think I've arrived at a good time, a good team, a good manager, calm in the club. So yes, we are on the right path, and I'm very happy to be here. If we did sign him on the permanent, where would he fit in the club for you? And as always, guys, let us know your opinions on this as well, and we'll read out some of your comments.
I think, once again, Sabitzer for me is a player I really like. I think, whenever he is in the team, one thing that, he actually brings about is ball recoveries. Whenever we've seen Sabitzer and Casemiro on, you see, whenever we lose possession, we are able to bite back possession instantly whenever the ball is being moved through the middle parts. And I think Sabitzer, for me, he's done enough to earn a spot. If you're talking for Sabitzer to be doing a role that Fred does this season, coming off the bench, starting in mid, games which are being played midweek. You want someone for rotation who can play as a 10, who can play as a CDM, who can play probably off the wing as a false 9 and even as an 8. I think Sabitzer does fall into that sort of category. And considering he could cost us about, in the range of 15 to 20 million, I think he'll be a steal of a signing. And right now we need players who are quality, but we need that quality to be on the bench as well. And I think Sabitzer is one of those players, because if you see, we spent 50 million on Fred. And if I have to compare Sabitzer and Fred, I think Sabitzer is a much, much, much more dependable player. He's a much more complete player in comparison to Fred. And we're going to be spending about 20 million on him. So I think he'll be a very good signing. If we are able to sign Sabitzer on a free, he'll be a very good signing.
Let's have a look at some of the comments, what they're saying. Let's have a look. I mean, Tommy's put a great comment in there saying they should donate his transfer fee to a relevant charity as well, in my opinion. That's about Mason Greenwood. I mean, United will never do that. It'll go in the Glazers' pockets if they're still here. Brian saying Sabitzer needs to be signed on a permanent deal. He's better than Fred and McTominay, so it's an absolute no-brainer. STP Mitchell saying, I love Sabitzer. I think he's a perfect squad player. Sam saying 15 million, sell him, sell Scott and Fred and get a world-class 8. Tommy's again saying good squad player with a mentality and character. Dan saying I've already seen him 30 plus and we're getting him for 20 mil, and yet people disagree with me. I don't know why. And the last one, send Vegas to Blackpool Beach with the rest of the donkeys giving rides for a small fee.
And one other thing is, whenever Sabitzer is on the pitch, he's got a good goal scoring record. Like, when he's on the pitch, he knows how to score goals, and I think that's good to have in a team. Like, if you look at Bruno as a 10, you see a creative, you see a player who plays, a lot of aerial balls. He likes to pass the ball around a lot. He likes to, feed players in and go for, he doesn't really go for goal unless there is a clean cut opportunity that appears. With Sabitzer, the thing is he makes a lot of runs into the box when he's playing as a 10. He opens a lot of passing spaces and he's got a good shot on him as well. So if you put Fred in that position as a number 10, he doesn't do that job. He doesn't offer us anything different to Bruno, but he's rather like a downgrade if you play him as a 10. So
yeah,
I think for me, Sabitzer would be a good signing. You get Fred out, probably generate. I think you can genuinely if you look at it from just a stats point of view, Fred has been having a good season. If you just look into his stats,
just stats. Anything else?
Yeah, not anything else. And you could probably generate 25 million for him or 20 million from him. I think Fred.
Yeah.
If you sell,
if you sell correct, right? That's
exactly.
The thing. If you sell right,
we can easily generate 20 to 25 million for him. I think with McTominay, considering Newcastle are interested in him for some reason, you can generate 35 to 40 for him, and out of that chunk, you pay like 20 million for Sabitzer. I think it's very good business.
Yeah. In an ideal world, if you had astute businessmen and an astute board of directors at the top who could actually function at a massive club like Manchester United, you would sell players like McTominay to Newcastle, get the money for him at the time, and you would sell Fred, and you would bring in a Sabitzer. It's a no-brainer for me, like a lot of people are saying in the chat. Now, he's spoken about the pace, the intensity of the Premier League shares and how it's different to Germany, which I remember Rangnick saying a similar thing when he was at the club. Has he adapted well, do you think, from the games that you've seen from him?
Yeah, I think he has. I think in his debut game, he played as a 6. He didn't play in his original position. He played as a 6, and I think he did well. In comparison to when you put Scott McTominay or Fred in that 6 role. In the following game, once again, he played as a 6. I think he did a decent job. Then I think it was the game when he played as a 10. And I think it was the game against Fulham in the quarterfinals when he got the goal. And I think he looked really good in that game, especially in the second half. Then we had that Everton game when he played once again as a 10 with McTominay and Bruno alongside him. I think he looked really decent. Against Sevilla, he looked like a completely charged player. So I think overall, whenever he's on the pitch, he's done decent. Like if you had to, grade him, I think whenever Sabitzer is on the pitch, he puts in like a B or C performance every single time he's on there. He has an impact. He's never invisible on the pitch. Like, when with McTominay, the biggest problem with him is he goes invisible in a lot of the parts of the game. Like you wouldn't even see his presence. With Sabitzer, you feel his presence. You know that he's going to be involved in the game. And I think alongside Casemiro, he provides him with the platform to actually move forward. And whenever Sabitzer is moving forward, he gets a goal and an assist.
Yeah. I again agree with you at that 100%. I'll get into a few comments in a second. Just make sure you smash a like on the video if you haven't already. And as we mentioned at the start of the video, we've got 3 spots left in the starting 11 of the Real Red Ultra membership. So if you want to be a part of that, click the join button next to the notification bell for exclusive content every Monday, a badge next to your name, and a chance to feature on the show as well when we get the full 11. STP Mitchell saying Glazers out always, always, always. And he's saying, correct me if I'm wrong, please, but does FFP come into play if you sell a youth player because it's straight profit? I'm not sure because they are changing certain rules with FFP. It seems to change every single year. Yeah. So you might be right on that, but again, I think it benefits, like CS7 says there, it benefits FFP. So yeah, I'd have to look into the logistics of that because, like I said, it seems to change every single year. Brian Casey's saying, and he's able to take a free kick too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's decent from set pieces, to be fair. We saw that with Austria, didn't you, against Azerbaijan. Conor Crawley, are you doing the Manchester United match tonight? I certainly am, Mr. Crawley. I'll be live at 6 o'clock with team news, so come and join me and get in the comment section and we'll go through it together. Sabitzer also goes on to say he speaks about his versatility, Shreyas. He says, I can play as a 6, as an 8, as a 10. I started as a 6 when Casemiro got suspended, as you just alluded to there. I think I did well, and I've played as an 8 and a 10 in other games. I tried to help the team. It's not a problem for me. What is his best position, do you think?
I think as an 8 or a 10. I think he's best. And but judging off his performances, I think 10. I think as a 10, he's looked really, really good.
He said he performed well as a 6. I disagree with that, to be honest. Yeah. I don't think he was bad, but who was it against now he played as a 6? Was it Everton? Oh, it might have been before that. It might have been in the European game. It was before it, wasn't it? Yeah, I can't remember who he played. Because Casemiro wasn't available, so he played as a 6 with Fred.
Casemiro was suspended against Southampton.
Fulham as well.
Yeah.
Oh, he scored against Fulham, Sabitzer, didn't he?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, the back heel goal. Yeah.
If there's anyone in the chat who knows when Sabitzer played as a 6 in which game, let us know, please.
Just his debut game, if you could tell us.
Yeah. Really can't. Usually my memory's quite good with them, things like that. But yeah, we'll touch back on that anyway if anyone can remember. If anyone's got a great memory in the chat, please do let us know. We'll move on to another midfielder. The reason, what the graphic is all about, Graham Souness and his comments on Bruno Fernandes, Shreyas. Now, Graham Souness has been talking shit again about another Man United player, which, surprise, shock, an ex-Liverpool pundit an ex-Liverpool player, now pundit, is talking shit about United. He's been saying Bruno Fernandes is obviously not a leader. It's as plain as that. It's just plain as a nose on the end of your face. His attitude when they went 3-0 down at Liverpool was appalling. You certainly wouldn't want to be in the trenches with him. Now, that comment alone, Shreyas, just give us your thoughts on that, and then we'll dive into the intricate bits.
Bruno Fernandes is the person who was given this captaincy of Manchester United after we had the most horrible season in our lifetime in the Premier League. He's the only player, I would say, that the team actually responds to when we are on the pitch. We've seen Casemiro, we've seen Varane, we've seen Lisandro Martinez being on the pitch and act as leaders, but they don't do the job that Bruno Fernandes does. Bruno, he's able to spark a lot of comebacks. If you look into that game when we had against Fulham in the quarterfinals, once again Bruno brought the team completely together. They responded to him, and we ended up winning that game. I think as a leader, I think right now, we've got a lot of leaders in that dressing room. You've got, once again, Rafa Varane in the defense. You've got Casemiro as well, who's a very, very, very experienced player. But as a captain, someone as a focal figure into that team who provides that shape and, who provides the platform for other players to express themselves on the pitch. I think Bruno Fernandes is one of the best we have. And I think arguably I would say that, if we didn't have Bruno Fernandes right now, who would genuinely be the captain of Manchester United?
We miss him so much, don't we? It's such a massive hole when he's not in the team. And I
remember that game we had. I think it was in the Cup when Bruno was suspended and we had to put Donny in the 10. And you could just see how much we actually miss him when he's not
because
there.
So many people had been calling for it. I remember all these niche fan groups on Twitter. It was all saying Donny is much better at ball retention and all this kind of bollocks. And then he played in there, and it was just worlds apart. And that's not any kind of slander on Donny van der Beek. It just was. It was just completely different. Brian's saying, as plain as Casemiro being a steady Eddie, do me a favour, Graham. Watermelon. Yeah, and you've had it with Carragher as well, with Sandro, Souness coming after fucking Casemiro. It's so funny, Graham Souness calling Casemiro a steady Eddie, because he was never the player Casemiro was. I don't care what anyone says. And he's spoken about the Liverpool game there, where, in fairness, Bruno did let us down in that. I was a bit frustrated. I can't hide my emotions when it comes to that game. And he wasn't great, but this season he's played the most minutes out of anyone in Europe. He's played as a 6, he's played as an 8, he's played as a 10, he's played on the wing.
And he's arguably been quality in every single one of those positions.
Yeah. You could literally legit play him on the wing and you'd be happy with it. As a 6 against Everton, he was unbelievable. Yeah. You're absolutely right on that. And he covers more distance than anyone in our team. Yeah. Absolutely puts a shift in. And he's so reliable. So if that isn't someone digging in when you're in the trenches, I don't know what is. You can always rely on Bruno Fernandes. So another quote that's probably been thrown out, and some executive producers probably whispered in Graham Souness's ear and said, "Do you want to just say something clickbaity about United so we get a few things and get this conversation generating?" Because that's how these outlets work. It's annoying. Sam saying the bias is painful. Brian saying it's actually laughable. United just ruined so many childhoods in the 90s. And now we're on our way back. They can't handle it.
Yeah.
STP Mitchell with Souness is a clown. Bruno plays wherever the team needs him. No arguing. He hasn't missed a game through injury. Only Messi has had more goals and assists since his debut for us. He's literally world class. That's it, innit, Shreyas?
I think on the basis of outer, I would say he's the second best midfielder in the league.
Interesting. I think in terms of importance to a team, I think he is. I think we've spoken about this before when discussing team of the season, weren't we?
Yeah.
I think Ødegaard and De Bruyne have been better.
Yeah.
But I think Bruno leaves a bigger hole when he goes, as to when, City can take Kevin De Bruyne out and you can mix some players out. Arsenal, you take Ødegaard out, massive miss. You know what I mean? Take Bruno out, we're a completely different team, to be honest. Marky Mark, I don't know why it's not letting me show that comment. Marky Mark, there we go. I want the comment to be shown. Souness is a clown, the shittest pundit ever. Apparently he's retiring as well. I don't know if you've seen that, Shreyas. He's retiring as a pundit.
He should.
Yeah.
He should. Yeah. Genuinely should.
Yeah. I mean, you made the right decision, Graham.
Yeah. I mean, I think I would say this. Casemiro is one, he's like a living legend who is playing right now. If you look at the kind of, performances he's had over the years, the experience he brings, and the trophy cabinet that he brings alongside with him.
Yeah, he'll be Casemiro will be one where you look back in the day and he'll be an icon on FIFA, and all the kids will be asking about it, saying, "Was he good? Was he this? Was this?"
You could, like 10 years from now, you could actually look back at his games and say that he probably is, he probably was one of the best, defensive midfielders to ever play the game.
It's weird, isn't it, with Casemiro as well, because I thought for 7 months maybe of the season, or 6 months, let's say, really good, elite, top, better than Rodri, better than all these kind of guys. I do think the past couple of months, or maybe weeks or whatever, he's dropped off a little bit. I don't know if you'd agree with that assessment.
I think the red cards just got to him. I genuinely think the red cards just got to him. But I think against Brighton, he looked decent. I think against Brighton, for the kind of tackles that he was making, like I could genuinely see Casemiro making tackles once again. He wasn't hesitating that much. I think over the few weeks, like the past couple of games, he's looked better. He's genuinely looked a lot better. And one thing again, off set pieces, Casemiro is destructive. Like he gets a lot of goals off set pieces. Whether it's Eriksen or Bruno taking him, he gets a lot of goals or set pieces. I think he got one against Newcastle as well in the Carabao Cup final. The first goal, I think it was Casemiro.
Elsa, last minute as well, head on.
And I think it's just a rough patch. And I think for any player, especially if you're a defender, kind of like a defensive midfielder, if you get red cards, it will get to you. You practically missed like 7 to 8 games already this season just because of suspensions. So I think he was just probably, trying to be more cautious. But I think Ten Hag might have just gone him to say, we didn't buy you to be cautious. We just want, we bought you so that, the teams actually are coming at us, especially trying to press us.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think only Casemiro and Rashford made the team of the season, I believe, out of United players, which I don't know how Lisandro Martinez isn't in there. It's absolutely outrageous because for me, we're going to do the end of the season awards on this channel, but for me, Lisandro's been the most consistent. I really do think that. I think he's goes unnoticed, to be honest, but what he does for this team,
he's a World Cup winner. Like, genuinely, he's a World Cup winner.
He's unbelievable. He's one of the best centre-backs in the league, and that's not even a debate. Yeah. He 100% is.
Compare him with anyone.
We've got Keshav Chunder Singh, I think it is. Yeah. Doesn't matter how many matches Bruno plays of any quality, you whine, you lose energy and focus stupidly. It's like shouting at your own feet. The way I describe Bruno, though, is like everyone's got a parent who shouts at him and moans at him, and at times you sit there and think, oh, just shut the fuck up. Please shut up. But they're only doing it because they care. Yeah. And I'd rather have someone who cares about the club than someone like a Pogba who's just a mercenary and was just there and decided to show up whenever he kind of wanted to. Much rather have that. And if sometimes the petulance comes when we lose a game, fine, I'll take it. Because everything else that he offers is pure quality. So I'll happily take that. lack of squad depth and our first 11 has cost us this season. STP saying that's it, bro. We have very poor depth. And I think that'll be addressed in the summer, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Speaking about the summer, and speaking about the ownership, Shreyas, see how we did that there?
Yeah.
So Jim Ratcliffe apparently is proposing a deal that would force the Glazers' exit after 3 years should he win the battle for control at United. The put on call option included in Sir Jim Ratcliffe's proposal would either force the Glazers to sell their remaining shares or compel Ratcliffe to purchase them by specific dates in the future, paving the way for the complete exit of the Glazers in 2026. This just feels like the Glazers would prefer this, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Does it seem that way?
Yeah.
And do you think that's the way it's going?
I think it could, but I just think that, when Qatar is in a bidding war, they don't lose. Like, they genuinely don't lose. So
You still think that, yeah? Qatar, you still think Qatar are going to win it?
I think the kind of project that they're going for right now, I think Qatar would have known that, something could happen, considering it's a bidding war. Someone could genuinely go in with a bigger bid. So I think that's why the debt-free ownership is something that they're, actually promoting a lot. Because that's something that no other owner can actually bring in, like a debt-free ownership. So I would still say that, Qatar might just come out and surprise us with something completely altogether. We still don't know.
Do you believe them?
Yeah.
Do you believe them rumours that Sam mentioned it in the chat the other day, didn't they? There was a lot of Qatari journalists and a few other people speaking about them travelling to New York to put in a personal bid and stuff like that. Do you believe them kind of rumours? Or is it all...
It may. I mean, they have the resources to do that. Once again, these are the people who just organized one of the biggest World Cups ever. They've how it happened, what went down before it, and what happened after it. 30 to 40 years from now, it would just be looked at one of the most successful World Cups that ever happened. So these guys know how to handle big projects. So I would just say that, till the time it doesn't get announced, you can't really rule out Qatar.
I've always thought, from as early it was rumoured and announced with Qatar, I've said straight off the bat, it will be them, 100%. Because money talks, power talks, and money is the Glazers' language, the only language that they know.
From Ineos' side, even now, I don't see that sort of confidence that I see from Qatar. Whenever you see something being even rumoured, that's coming from their side, it looks much more confident in, comparison to what Ineos and Sir Jim Ratcliffe have been coming out with.
But the one thing that's starting to change my mind now is because the offer that Sir Jim is putting on the table plays a lot into the Glazers' hands. Yeah. And it's like I said, money is their only language. They don't know empathy. They don't know, don't have any emotion. It's all money, hard-nosed rats. Yeah. That's all they are. And I think the family dynamic, there's 4 of them who want to sell and 2 of them who want to stay. And by Sir Jim doing this, that's going to keep that dynamic. That keeps them happy. They keep making money off the club and milking it. They still have the voting power, but they won't be the majority stakeholder. So literally, it's perfect for him. So Qatar, they're in the perfect position because Qatar now are going to have to offer even more than 5.2 billion, whatever it is at the minute. And if they do, I think the only way Qatar can get it is if they push it up to near 6 billion. Yeah. I think that's it. Yeah. If they don't do that, I think they'll go with Sir Jim's offer, which is around 5 billion, and do whatever the strategy was with the... they have 30%, but it's still double power, and then Sir Jim's the majority shareholder.
I think if Sir Jim actually went in with any different strategy than this, keeping the Glazers still there for 2 or 3 more years, I think the fans would have genuinely gone out and supported him. They genuinely would have. But just the fact that the Glazers would still stick around, even if they're not majority stakeholders, but they do have voting power on major decisions, like when it comes to transfer windows or signing players or, issues related to finances of the club. I think that is just the thing that ticks a lot of fans off.
Yeah. Well, of course, the deadline, Shreyas, was over a week ago now. It was last Friday, and they said 7 to 10 days is going to be some news. So early next week, we should hear some massive news, potentially history changing. What are your predictions? I know you kind of touched on it then, but early next week, what do you think is going to happen? Just a pure prediction. Don't have to make sense. Don't have to think it. Just anything you think is going to happen next week. How's it playing out?
The next round of bid starts on the end of May. That is what we're
doing. You think you'll do another round? Yeah.
Yeah. I think this will continue.
I'm just hoping to hear some definitive news. Whatever it is, I'm sure we'll
I would genuinely not be surprised though, if they come out and say that they have another round of bids going to happen.
Yeah. Or they just phrase it differently.
Yeah.
So they'll just say like, "This is an
final
exclusive
showdown.
round now." Yeah, final showdown between. I thought it was 3 rounds ago, mate.
Yeah.
Like, come off it. So yeah, I don't know. I really don't know how this is going to go because, like you said, Qatar money, power speaks. But the thing that Jim's offering at the minute, is offering at the minute. I don't know how it's going to go. I'm slightly worried either way, to be honest.
I just don't want it to affect our transfer window. Like genuinely, the more it is, coming closer and closer to it will affect our transfer window, and I don't want it to happen because we're on a good run right now. And if we are able to, plan ahead, if we are able to, like Madrid are doing right now, Jude Bellingham is in their bag pretty much. So if we could do something similar, get player deals done pretty much before even the window starts, it provides us with a boost because then you can actually get them in the preseason. It helps them and integrate them well with the squad. And, you can be looking at a much more stable and, integrated lineup when the season starts. Right now, I think it might be a similar case to what happened last season. Antony being signed on deadline day, Casemiro once again coming, late into the season.
Turn for Rabiot and Arnautovic.
Yeah.
Woo, let's go. You got players like Alexis McAllister who wants to move early as well. He said
exactly.
He wants to move
and Liverpool
are
moving very fast with him. Like genuinely, they're moving very fast.
Like they did with Darwin Núñez. We've got Darwin Núñez. Liverpool bangs in a bit. Like it's going to happen again. Yeah. Don't remind me. I still like Gakpo.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say, I know he's a Liverpool player. He would have been. I could really, really see why Ten Hag wanted him. Honestly,
in this setup, he could play as a striker. In this setup, he genuinely could play as a striker.
Yeah. Like he's perfect for us, and for 40 odd million, what a fucking steal that is, by the way. Unbelievable.
Yeah,
steal.
and if we moved for him in the summer window itself, he would have cost us 25.
Yeah. Outrageous, isn't it? Absolutely outrageous. You know what? As well, he played in midfield yesterday.
Yeah,
he's played as a midfield. He's played as a striker. He's played on a wing. Like he's an intelligent, strong, quick player. Fantastic.
He plays as a 10 for Netherlands as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
He's outrageous. Just the last few comments in the chat. So unless Sheikh Jassim offers close to 7 or 8 billion, it'll be Sir Jim. But they said from the start they won't overpay. Yeah. My gut says Sir Jim because of the Glazers get to cling on for another 3 years. I'm the same as you, Brian. Marky Mark saying Scrooge McDuck, that's the Glazers for you. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like I said, their only language is money. And they can hardly speak that because they've just inherited the dad's wealth, essentially. That's why they're in the position that they are at the minute. So it's going to be absolutely huge when it gets announced and when it drops. And as always, we will be live literally within seconds of it being announced, whether it's today, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's 3 a.m. We'll always make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Make sure you smash a like on the video as well. And if you want to become a real Red Ultra, we've got 3 spots left in the starting 11. You get exclusive content, a badge next to your name, and a chance to feature on the show when we get the starting 11. So please do consider supporting the channel. It's less than a meal deal now, believe it or not. A meal deal from Tesco now is £5.50. It's fucking outrageous. It's less than that. So if you want to support the channel for the price of a pint, then please do consider it. And yes, thank you for coming on, Shreyas. Appreciate you as always.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Hopefully we get the 3 points today and get an away win.
Fingers crossed. I'll see you lot for the game later on. Make sure you come and join me. 6 o'clock team news live on TikTok and YouTube. Manchester United versus West Ham. Come on, United. Let's have it. We'll see you guys in a bit. Peace. Thank you.